All right. Now you wanted the podcast, and here the podcast is for months. Okay. So naturally, I would always love to shout out my supporters, the people that have followed me, the people that have been with me on my journey until now. Okay. So big thank you, big shout out all the time. I love and respect you guys with all my heart. Now, as you can see, today's a solo one, but as time goes on, if you would like me to incorporate guests, and have those kind of conversations, just let me know. I'm only one DM away. So today, you guys DM me with requests and dilemmas and many other different things. So I'll read them from my phone. And Uncle will help you, like he always helps you. Do you understand? Okay. Starting with the first one. Let's see what we got here. How to be a gyalis. Okay, you come to the right man. Don't worry about me at my big age, in my time I was a killer. Yeah. But here's the thing. I know we live in a time now, yeah, where people are watching Red Pill and all of these things, and they think getting women is just about money. As long as I have money, I'll get girls. But you failed before you even started. There's one thing and one rule only when it comes to girls, yeah? Or being a gyalis or gyalisism, like what you like to call it. And that one thing is this. You have to actually enjoy being around women. A lot of men think they like women. You don't. You like having sex with women. There's a big difference. You have to enjoy their company. Do you understand? You know that guy in school who is going home with the girls instead of the man them? Those kind of guys. I would know. I was that guy. Sometimes. Not all the time. But that's the point. You have to enjoy their company. You have to actually like being around them. Number one. When you enjoy their company, moving on to my second point, you have to have a positive vibe about you. You understand? Life is negative. I'm not gonna lie, and this could be a generalization or a stereotype, but a lot of women are miserable. They rely on us to bring the vibe. Do you understand? To be a good time. Are you gonna be a good time? Or when you get around her, are you gonna use her as your therapist? Do you understand? Forget the sob stories, forget the crying, forget the moaning. She doesn't want to hear that your manager shouted at you at work. She doesn't want to hear that. Be a fun person. Enjoy being around them, first and foremost. And thirdly, go out there and get some real experiences. Do you understand? You can't be talking about what you did in secondary school or I'm playing football with my boys or none of this crap. Go on holiday, eat out, have activities, play paddle, do stuff. Do you understand? There is one killer of all relationships, and that is boredom. You know, the minute you become boring to a woman, you're dead. You're walking to the gallows. Execution time, death row records. You can't be a boring person. So those three things I would say are the main things. Obviously, naturally in life, money, fashion, all of those things. But the most important thing is number one, enjoy being around them. Number two, be a very positive vibe. And number three, have stuff to talk about. Be a vibe. You understand? Have activities. So that's number one. Okay. Moving on to the second point. What's wrong with you lot, man? How to stop being a manhole? Okay. Do you see the problem with being a manhole, yeah? Or a male whore, or a slut, or a guy that's out there, whichever way you want to call it. You have one problem, and that problem is you're not satisfied with one woman. In order for a relationship to work, you have to actually want to be there. Now, I know sometimes women can be very annoying and stressful, but you see, if you're a guy that you're used to getting girls or you're used to sleeping around, when you have that first argument with her or that first hurdle or things are rocky, your mindset straight away is going to be, I can just go get other girls. I can just replace her. But then how are you going to have a functioning adult relationship if your mentality is to just replace her? That's not a good way to live your life, bro. Do you understand? Sorry. And secondly, respect yourself. You see, there's a lot of guys, yeah, they'll look down on hoes. They'll look down on J-bags. You understand? They'll look down on the block legend. They'll say she's a hoe. If you're sleeping with her, then you're no better than she is. There's guys that will say, oh, I'll never deal with a girl that's been cheated in the blocks. If you're the guy that did it with her in the blocks, you're no better than she is. You're both the same. You're on the same level. So if you're going to be a manhole, you can't sit there and complain and say you want to qualify for a certain woman or only certain women are qualified for you. You, my brother, are not qualified for yourself. First and foremost. Okay? So the best way to stop being a manhole is look in the mirror. See yourself as an expensive item. Commodify yourself if you have to, yeah? And then when you do that, you'll say to yourself, you know what? I deserve better. I'm worth better. I'm not just giving myself to everyone. Too much circulation makes the value go down. And when you see yourself like that, you'll see that there's certain women who will never take you in because they know you belong to the community. If you belong to the community, then why would anybody who's worth their salt take you in? That should be incentive enough. Unless you want to be an 80 or 50 to 80-year-old man bragging about how much gal you got back in the days. I've met old men like that. You don't want to end up like them. Okay? That's my second point. Moving on to the third. This is actually a good one. Being insecure as a handsome man. So that's a dilemma that somebody sent to me. Yeah? You see the problem with like good looking men or handsome men, yeah? They put all their stock and their confidence into the way they look. You don't realize it, but that means your validation comes from something outside of yourself. It's external validation. And if something doesn't come from within, then it's not real. It's like those guys that they wear designer and now they're feeling themselves. But when the designer disappears, they walk the streets with their head down. That's not healthy and that's not real confidence. Do you understand? And like I said, like you see the problem with like a lot of good-looking guys or handsome guys, whatever you want to call them, yeah. If you're constantly like, if you keep putting stocks into the way you look, the minute you meet a woman that doesn't give you that validation, that doesn't make you feel like you're that guy, you're gonna crumble. And that's why a lot of handsome men are insecure. Because their mentality is, if I meet a woman, she's supposed to just think I'm the guy. And if she doesn't think I'm the guy, there's something wrong with me. And there's nothing wrong with you, bro. You're just not that person's type. Yes, there are some men that will be universally attractive. I'm not disputing that. But 9 times out of 10, bro, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And there's nothing wrong with that. You see what I'm saying? So if you are a good looking guy or a handsome guy, stop putting your worth into the way you look. Of course, be vain, look after yourself, do all of these things. But at least say to yourself, you know what? I'm valuable in a relationship because I can pattern, organized, I'm reliable. She doesn't have to worry. She doesn't have to think. I saw everything. That makes sense. I'm a safety net. I'm secure. Like I'm stable. There's so many different qualities that will make you valuable as a man instead of or outside of just the way you look. Like you're not a teenager. I get when you're in school, being good looking, whatever's lit. Yeah, you're cute, whatever. But as you grow older, bro, there's so much more different factors that go into why a woman's gonna want to stay with you. Unless you want a clown for a woman who's still got a teenage mentality. Each to their own, innit? Those who don't hear must feel. On to my next one. I'm really liking these dilemmas and questions, man. You lot are good. I like it. What do we have here? Why gangs have fallen off. I love this one. You wanna know why gangs have fallen off? Because the recruitment office is failing. See, back in the days, yeah, to bang for an ends, you had to actually be from there. Do you understand? And if you wasn't, why do you think the guys in the ends here, who were either the most rated or put in the most work, and 9 times out of 10, they didn't live there because they had more to prove. Do you understand? The recruitment office back in the days was popping. If you look at a music video from back in the days, you'll see like 20 man in the video, 30 guys in the video, 40 guys, 50 guys. Those days are over. Do you understand? The recruitment office is failing. You see now, yeah, you could be from South and bang for it ends in Northwest. You could be from Northwest and bang for it ends in East London. Do you understand? Now they're taking anyone. We live in the motion era now. Guys want to be lit. They want to be fly. They want to wear nice clothes and go on holiday and scoop baddies. Nobody wants to get shot at or possibly stabbed because you live over there. That's long. Do you understand? Just getting high blood pressure and hypertension. And for what? Over a postcode. Those days are over. You see the young boys now, they got sense. They said, why would I live my life like this when I can live my life like that? So yes, the recruitment office is going down the drain, as it should be. Make civilian life great again. However, this is also a double-edged sword because seeing as we live in the motion era, yeah, most guys want to make money. Everything is more money focused, motion focused. And when people are struggling, especially when you're young and you can't find an avenue to make money, you're going to look in that direction. So I would say that's the only double-edged sword. But aside from that, I'm actually very happy that the recruitment office is failing. That's what we like to hear. Do you understand? Hopefully they're out of business in the next couple of years. You know what I mean? Next. Okay, this is actually a favorite of mine, you know? So this guy was talking about his relationship, yeah? And he was saying stuff like his woman has a lot of male friends, or she's out partying with other men a lot, yeah? Or she's extremely disrespectful to him, or she doesn't listen to him. And this one, I'm gonna call it men have no standards or boundaries in dating. You see the problem with a lot of men, and I used to be like this myself, so I'll throw myself in there, yeah? We as men, we don't have standards or boundaries when it comes to dating because a lot of us are just so happy to have a woman. We're just so happy to have someone next to us that we'll put up with anything. Think about it, yeah? When you hear certain guys talk, they'll say, oh, I've got a girl. He says it with a badge of honor. He says it like he won the Medal of Honor. Do you understand? He says it like he was Leonidas leading the 300 Spartans. But the problem with that is, what does your girl do for you? You're adjusting yourself for your girl. Has she adjusted herself for you? I see a lot of men change their personality, change the way they live, change the way they talk, try and better themselves for a woman. Is she doing that for you? In a relationship, both of you are meant to grow together. Do you understand? One person is not meant to be piggybacking off the other person. And I find in relationships as well, yeah, one thing I'll give women, yeah, they have their demands and they have their standards. You see, if you're not living up to those two things, your contract's cancelled. And that's why you see a lot of men in relationships who are dancing to their woman's tune. You see what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, we as men, we're just like, it's even crazy to see in real time. A man will accept absolute garbage from his woman in terms of like behavior and mindset and anything. Do you understand? It's mad because a lot of men feel grateful to have a woman. They have this mentality that like, I'm so glad I got picked. I'm so glad I got chosen. And then that's why they get treated like that. There's no boundaries. There's men, they'll complain that their girl is FaceTiming them all day long. They'll complain that my girl did this. Do you know how many guys I've met, yeah, or knew in the past, they'll have an issue with their girlfriend. Rather than have that conversation with her and say, listen, this is not what I like. You need to fix up on this, love it or leave it. They're ranting to me. They're on the phone, cussing her, grudging her behind her back. When really and truly, just have a conversation with her. And it's like, if she's not willing to pattern up, cut her loose. It's not hard. You understand? You're not going to lose your left lung or something because you broke up with a woman, my bro. Like, you deserve better. And I think another problem is a lot of men don't think they deserve better. You see, especially when you come from the ends, yeah, we're used to chaos. So chaos is normal. And because chaos is normal, we chase familiarity. And when we chase familiarity, we might go for somebody who's a chaotic person, someone who's not good for us, but we don't really know goodness. So that's why we put up with that. So I'm saying if you're a man, yeah, and you're in a relationship or you're talking to someone, it is all right to set standards and boundaries. It is all right to say what I will accept and what I won't accept. Do you understand? It's not a crime. You deserve better. So internalize that, compute that into your brain, and then you know how to move from here on out. Yeah? Okay. This is actually a personal one. So no one actually asked me this, but this is a personal one based on my own experiences. Yeah. You are allowed to be a human. Do you understand? I think we live in a time, and I kind of blame self-improvement contents. You see, like, what do you want to call it? Red pill. You see, like, masculine content, self-improvement content. I blame it because you've got guys saying you should be working 60 hours a week. You should be in the gym. You should have this amount of money. You should be rich. You should have clout. You should have all these things. But you don't realize it, but you're pushing people to be in superhuman. And we're human. So you've got people out there, you've got men out there, young boys out there that because they're not living up to the standard of what society says a man should be or the internet says a man should be, They're crumbling, they're depressed, they're cussing themselves. They think they're less of a person, they think they're subhuman. But I'm here to tell you, you're actually allowed to be human. You're allowed to have a day off. You don't have to operate on 100% day in, day out. Do you understand? And if you're surrounded by people that expect you to operate on 100% day in and day out, you're surrounded by some very selfish people. They need to go. You are allowed to have an off season. Do you understand? Life is about ebbs and flows. Life is about up and down. You have your down seasons and your up seasons. As long as you weather the storm and you keep going, you're fine. Do you understand? You might have a bad 6 months. You might have a bad year. Nothing wrong with that. One bad 6 months, one bad year isn't a bad life. You had a bad season. It happens to the best of us. Do you understand? You, my friend, are allowed to be a human. Be a human. If you feel like comfort eating, eat 3 burgers. If you want to drink 5 milkshakes, do it. Don't do it every day, but do it. Eat a pizza. Do you understand? Different people have different vices. Just don't stay stuck in your vices. Be a human. Be flawed. Do you understand? You're not a robot. So that's just my word from me to you, yeah? That's it. You're allowed to be. Okay. I'm having fun with this, you know. No, seriously, I really appreciate you guys. What we got here? Okay. So anyone who's followed me on TikTok for a while, you would know I did a video called Don't Waste Your Good Looks. I think that one went viral, yeah? So I got a message from someone saying I should do a handsome guy or a good-looking guy series, something along those lines. So he asked me, when am I next doing a video about that, yeah? Well, I'm doing it today. What I would like to say, besides looks and this kind of stuff, yeah, appearance is everything. Do you understand? Everything. Because how you present yourself, how you package yourself, yeah, will determine how the world approaches you, how the world treats you. If you go into a shop, even if the product is not that great, because of the packaging and how shiny it is, you're more liable to buy it. And that's like anything in life. You see anybody that went to school with me, yeah, and if I'm lying, I am flying. You ask them about me. I held myself to a standard. I had a haircut every week. There wasn't a hair out of place. Skin creamed. Kicker shiny. Nails kept. Do you understand? On point. Cut. Well groomed. Because when I go on the street, not only am I representing myself, I'm representing my parents. I'm representing my family. Appearance means everything. Now, appearance doesn't only have to do with grooming. It could be with the way you live your life. Do you understand? For instance, yeah, I can't even talk because I've definitely had some seasons where my discipline has been in the gutter, so I can't talk. However, having come back from holiday like what, a month ago, yeah, I decided to go back to the kind of person I used to be. Do you understand? They say don't reminisce and you shouldn't reminisce, but sometimes you can take gold from the past, yeah, and implement it in the present. So I decided, what was I like? How did I used to be? When was I the best version of myself? And then I remembered that time. School, college, and my early 20s, all up until then, I held myself to a standard. I was vain. That makes sense. Whatever problems I went through, I didn't look like my problems, as you shouldn't. And then I remembered myself. I remembered at that time, yeah. Why was I like that? Because of self-love, bro. Self-respect. I love and respect myself so much. I refuse to be out of place. I refuse to be down. That makes sense. Sometimes vanity can be a blessing as well as a curse. But when it comes to your appearance, yeah, you need to look in the mirror and say, listen, I appreciate myself so much. I refuse to not be on point. That makes sense? Sorry about that. Also, it's about diet. So you see, when I come back from holiday, I decided to change my life around again. I stopped eating the things that I used to eat. Stop drinking. Only drinking water. Do you understand? Working out like how I used to work out. And I'm happy for the change. It's been only recent, but God willing, and I know willing, it's going to carry on. However, The point I like to make to guys, yeah, obviously life is about balance. So once in a while you'll have a cheat meal. Think of yourself as a Porsche, yeah, or an expensive automobile, yeah. You would not put the lowest, crudest, most backwards form of fuel into your car. If you had an expensive car, top of the line car, you would never butcher it with the petrol that you put inside of it. You would only put the best of the best, no? But think about the human body. Our bodies can heal themselves. Look at how great the design of our bodies are. Why would you destroy that? Our bodies are finer than any high-end car. So if you wouldn't do that to a high-end car, why would you do that to your own body? Eat the right things, live the right way, and it'll show on your face. I'm telling you. When I used to party hard back in the days, and like I said, I used to eat garbage and whatever, it would show on my face. Not in the beginning, but over time. Do you understand? You'll start being sloppy. You'll live sloppy. And remember, what goes inside of you does come out of you. So on a hot summer's day when you're sweating, you're going to stink because what's inside of you is stinky. So yeah, man, your body is a great design. It's a godly design. You see what I'm saying? You have a God's body. God has blessed you with an amazing invention. Do not spoil it because of bad habits. Respect yourself and love yourself. Deal with it proper. Okay? So that's all I have to say on appearance. On to the next. Ooh, I like this one. This is a personal one. You shouldn't have to think. I have guys like message me and say stuff like, oh, how do I pattern up? How do I have stuff on lock? And I always say to guys, yeah, having money doesn't mean you're patterned. I used to fall into that trap. I used to think, because I had money in my pocket, because I could pay for everything, yeah, that means I'm patterned. Absolutely not. Because one of the first steps to being patterned is the fact that you should not have to think. Things should be working like a well-oiled machine where things are just operating. Whatever hobbies you have, they're paid for. Do you understand? You control your element. Your car, your job, your businesses, everything is running smoothly. Naturally in life, there will be hiccups, but you can account for those hiccups. You can change them. You can make them work. You can work around it. You can adapt. You can pivot, most importantly. You see what I'm saying? You shouldn't have to think. Do you know sometimes when guys are talking about, oh, I'm struggling in dating because I have no money, it's not because you have no money. It's because of your aura and the way you carry yourself when you have no money. You see, when you have no money and you're thinking, every time you tap that card, your chest is hurting you because you know the bank account isn't looking how the bank account should. And it's wrestling with your mind. Your mind's a million miles away. You're thinking, oh, I need this money. What can I do with this money? Do you understand? And it's going to mess you up. Why? Because whatever woman you're with, you're not present. If you're not present with a woman, it's just like, I wouldn't say it's insulting to her, but it's just like the connection's just not there. You're not going to lock in. What's the reason you're not present? And this is not only about women. It could be with family. It could be with friends. Have you ever been around a person who's just angry all the time? You don't know why he's like that. I grew up with men like that. They're just always angry. They just want to fight. They always have a problem with someone. But you know why? Because they have to think. They have to think about, when I get home, how am I going to eat? When I get home, how am I going to have this? How am I going to have clothes? Those things do something crazy to the male brain. You should not have to think. Have everything in order. So when you step out on the road, the only thing you have to worry about is getting home safely. Don't think. You shouldn't have to think. So write down a checklist of all the things you need to sort out and pattern them. Have them on lock and key. Do you understand? Keep that key in your pocket. And when everything's smooth, when everything runs the way you need it to run, trust me, your life, your aura, your vibe will get better. Look at those guys who go to parties and they want to start fights. That's because their life is chaotic. There's nothing going on. If their life was on point, you think they've got time to go to a motive and fight people? No. You should not have to think. You shouldn't be stressing. Don't get grey hairs before your time. So like I said, write down a list, whether that's car payments, whether that's a job, whether that's your business. It could be dating. Do you understand? Even if you have to use a budget spreadsheet, use something and make sure you tick off everything that's on lock. And when you step out on that road, the only thing you have to think about is getting home safely. Everything's under control. That makes sense? Okay. On to the next. I'm actually vibing. This is fun. No, man. I appreciate you lot so much, you know. If I haven't said it 1,000 times already, I'll keep saying it. I appreciate you lot. Love and respect, honestly. Cool. So I get a lot of these kind of questions when it comes to dating. And this is another guy who's messaged me. Obviously, I like to keep things anonymous. I'll never say names or none of that. And he said the dating market isn't fair because women only want men with money. Women only like hood guys or road dudes. That might be true to an extent, depending on where you're looking. Understand? There's a market for everything. You see what I'm saying? What is successful in one market will not be successful in another. Everyone has their own lane. You see the problem with a lot of 9 to 5 guys, yeah, or normal guys, so to speak? You compare yourself to criminals. Number one, no man should be comparing himself to another man anyways, because it stunts your growth and it leads to stagnation. However, if you compare yourself to criminals, my brother in Christ, you will go mad. You can't. Why are you going to the club and trying to go bottle for bottle with a guy whose money comes in like that? Remember, he can do one move and he's made 10 bags. He can blow that 10 bags. You don't pay tax on it. You, the man that's breaking his back, pause, for 10 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours. You worked, you grinded for that money, you're stressed. Your manager might have all shouted at you. Your girl's messaging you, she's giving you a headache. We ain't gone on a date in 3 months. I'm starting to think you don't care about me. And you went to a motive and you're trying to go bottle for bottle with them. You're not like them. And that's not a mark of disrespect. That's not me saying they're in a higher league than you. It's me saying, why are you trying to operate in a market that your product won't sell in? Why? That's bad business. Take your product, which is yourself, bring it to a new market, and you'll be fine in that market. You'll do numbers, you'll do bits. Do you understand? Do not compare yourself to criminals. And it doesn't only have to be criminals. Don't compare yourself to athletes or rappers either. There's guys moaning because they can't fly a girl out. Oh, she said she wants to get flown out. Da, 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 da. I can't do that. That's cool. Don't worry about it. Your time will come. Why are you comparing yourself to these people? You're only going to send yourself mad and give yourself additional pressure you don't need to give yourself. Sometimes, I'll be honest, yeah, we as men, sometimes we make dating a lot harder than it needs to be. I have realized this. We make it a lot harder than it needs to be. And like I said, different products do well in different markets. Know your market, excel in your market, thrive in your market. Don't worry about that market over there. Do you understand? Simple. On to the next. Ooh, this is a favorite of mine. This is a good one. So I got a message, yeah, and the guy said to me, what do you think about women who spin the block? And I'm here to tell you that is the most insulting thing a woman can do to you. And on the flip side, as a woman, if you're a woman listening to this, a man spinning the block on you is the most insulting thing he can do. Do you know why? Why does that person feel like you're the same person that they knew? That means you're not growing. If a person feels comfortable to come back into your life after a certain period of time, that means that on some level they think they have you on lock. They think you're not going anywhere. They think you haven't grown much. I'm not even the same person I was 30 days ago. Do you understand? Let alone if she comes to spin the block in 6 months to a year. You see me, like anything in life. We have positive traits and we have negative traits. Do you want to know one or two of my negative traits? And I've been like this since I was a little boy. I can be a very petty and vindictive person. Does that make sense? Any woman that has ever dealt with me in my life, she knows that. Do you understand? If a woman spins the block on me, especially if she did me dirty, I am going to be insufferable. Oh my Lord. Because why did you think this door was still open after a certain period of time? It's not. Do you understand? Do you think you can spin the block on the emperor? Have you lost your mind? No. So yes, there's a difference. You see, if it was like an amicable breakup, yeah, and both of you went your separate ways because you needed to grow, you needed to get better, and it's like she didn't do you dirty, you didn't do her dirty, yeah, and a certain period of time goes by, and you've both grown as people, then I would say there's grounds for rekindling. Do you understand? If you guys had a very beautiful bond or you had a good relationship, 6 months to a year goes by, you might have dated other people, you might have focused on yourself, and you two reconnect and it's all good and you hear it off because you've got that bond, yeah? Then go for it. In my opinion, rekindling is different to spinning the block. But there is no way in this life, as long as there's a God in heaven, 6 months to a year, 2, 3 years can go by and you still think I'm the same person that you entertained. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's goals would not score today's matches. I have changed. And you as a man should say to yourself, I have changed. You've changed. You want different things. You expect different things. You have different standards. So nobody should be spinning the block on you. Rekindling and spinning the block, two different things. You understand? That's what I got to say about that one. Okay. Why grown men can't let the roads go. And it's simple. Those are the best days of their life. You see what? Yeah. I had a period in my life, yeah. I'll say early to just going into mid-20s where I wasn't doing nothing. I was robbed. I'll tell you the truth. I was on foot, just a foot soldier, going nowhere. I had no motion. I was motionless. I went from having so much motion to no motion. I was a stock that crashed. Do you understand? I can tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie. You know, when I was talking to girls, I used to say to them, I broke my school record for the 100-meter race. That's what I was talking about. Big man in his 20s, talking about winning a race in school. I was stuck in the past. I was saying, yeah, I did this move. You know, I remember when I ran up in here and I did this and I had this money and I bought this jewelry and I bought this watch. And bro, you know the only reason I was doing that was nothing was going on now. You see, we as men, yeah, we naturally look for achievements. We strive for glory. You think the era of the Vikings is any different to the era today? Those guys didn't storm beaches because they wanted bread. They stormed beaches so they could be famous, so that people will say their names, so people will make songs about them. Our genetic makeup, our reasoning, our ambition as men hasn't really changed from back then. Soldiers went into war for glory, so the king would recognize them, so they can be established. And we still operate like that today. If you come from a certain background or you come from a certain ends, how do we get glory? On the block, doing certain things, making money. We might be on badness, yeah? When that fails and the glory is gone, what do? You yearn for that glory, you yearn for that fame, but it's not there no more. So what do? You hold on to it. There's guys in 9 to 5 jobs right now, they haven't committed a crime since way back when. They're still talking about it. There's grown men talking about what they did in 2006 and 2007. Tony Blair badness. Do you understand? Gordon Brown bootings. That was way back when, but they're still talking about it because this is my glory era. This is when I was somebody. So that's why grown men can't let it go. All men want status and power and wealth. If you're a man that strives for something, not all men, I shouldn't say that. A lot of men are content. But we usually like to feel like the guy. We like to feel like, yeah, I'm doing stuff. I'm somebody. I'm making moves. I got motion. When we've got no motion, we look backwards. Don't look backwards. Life is to be lived going forward. Be a forward-thinking creature. That makes sense? Like I just explained a moment ago, yesterday's goals do not score today's matches. Old price is not today's price. So don't worry about what you did back in the days. You see now if I talk to a woman, do you think I'll ever dare talk about that stupid, foolish school race I won back in the days? I'm not bringing it up no more. What the hell? I'm not bringing up what I did as a teenager or any of that rubbish. No. I've got stuff going for myself. And I'll never be so pathetic and fall so low ever again. It's all right if you're having a conversation with the man and it just comes up. Because sometimes you could be talking, you'll say, oh, remember this, and just, it's all right sometimes. If you keep going on about it and you're living off it, that's a different kind of madness. That makes sense. We'd have time for that. Okay. So that's why grown men can't let the roads go. Okay. I think I've already done a video on this, on TikTok. But I'll talk about it again. You know what I mean? Sometimes good things come in twos. Civilian life is absolutely sexy. Civilian life is just a bad B. Civilian life is like a baddie in Dubai or in Miami or in LA. Civilian life is sweet. Do you want to know why? I don't think I can remember the last time I had to look over my shoulder. I don't think I remember the last time I had that little stabbing sensation in my chest where my spidey senses are tingling and I know something's about to happen. I don't know what that feels like. I can wear my belongings wherever I want to go, eat wherever I want to go, link whoever I want to link. Do you understand? Imagine, yeah, you could be linking a girl, but she lives over there. And if she doesn't live over there, she lives close to over there. And if you go there and you go to see her, something might happen to you. Imagine you go corner shop, you go out to eat, something might happen to you. I know guys, yeah, that have been on dates with women, and someone from the other side will walk in, but they've preed them. The guy hasn't seen them yet. And he's got up with the girl and he said, let's get the bill, babes, we need to go. What kind of a life is that? Do you understand? This is why I'm an advocate. This is why I'm the ambassador. This is why I'm the president, the ayatollah, the emperor of make civilian life great again. Civilian life is sexy. So if you're a guy and you go out your way to not be a civilian, that's on you, my brother. But you see, the organization of civilians, we will treat you like the prodigal son. You will always have a home with us. We won't judge you. You're allowed to grow in life. So when you're done living a life of madness, come over to the civilian side where it's sweet, where you don't have to worry. Do you understand? Make civilian life great again. Moving on. This is an obvious one, yeah? And I think I've spoken about this before, but I'll do it again. Don't go broke for women. That might sound like common sense, but unfortunately, common sense is not as common as we think. Yeah? You see, in life is only getting harder. You need a safety net. You need stability. You see the problem with a lot of guys, they're very short-sighted. Relationships are transactional to a degree. I'm not saying they should be cold and transactional, like I give you money, you give me this. If that's the case, just go brothel. Let's call it what it is. However, you need to have things in life as a man. You need to have something to show for yourself. You know, there's a lot of big men, 40s, 50s, 60 odd. They don't have nothing. If you ask them what they was doing back in the days with their money, they were spending it on women. There's guys in life struggling. Do you know how much money passed through their hands? And if you ask them, well, what happened to the money? I flew her out. I took her out to eat here. I paid her rent. I bought her a car. That's all well and good, but that's not your forever woman. There's a poem called Reasons, Seasons, and Lifetime, you know? Some people come into your life for a reason, some people come into your life for a season, and some people come into your life for a lifetime. We can never predict if a woman's going to be our forever woman, but there'll be certain little signs there. Do you understand? Go through the process of knowing, listen, is this woman here for me? Before you start doing the mad thing. I've been there. I used to be a big spender. What? Me? I used to spend money on women like I hated money. Like if I touch money, it's going to burn my skin. Do you understand? You know when you dash holy water on a vampire? That's how I used to treat money when it came to women. But what did it ever do for me? For a long time, I had nothing to show for it. Yeah, I've got stories of I went with this girl and that girl and all of that malarkey. Yeah. But bro, in the grand scheme of things, you need things. You need a roof over your head. You need to have a car. Yeah. You cannot be a cowboy with no horse. You need a car. You need to move around. You need a decent amount of money in your bank account that, God forbid, anything happens to you, you can wiggle your way and navigate the situation. Do you understand? When the lights go off, the show is over. So if you are a man that wants to spread your wealth, yeah, with all these women enjoying yourself, good luck to you, my bro. But when they're dangling their keys in the kitchen, when they're driving the newest Merc, and you're there crying, talking about, yeah, I remember I used to do with her back in the days, you know, she won't claim you. When she's leveled up in life, she'll even forget she went out with you. It'll be like, eh. She'll even deny you, like what Peter did to Jesus. Is that how you want to go out? No. Do you understand? Save your money, my brother. I'm not saying be stingy because I didn't grow up like that. That's not the culture or the household I came from. I love to spend money. Just be sensible with it. Make sense? Okay. What we got? Love versus trauma bonding. I think in dating, and this is not just a men thing, I know sometimes my content can come off as very men-centric, yeah, or male-centric. We mistaken trauma bonding for love, yeah? So you see me, for instance, where I grew up, yeah, I grew up in the era of Northwest when it was cutthroat and dirty. Do you understand? There was once a guy, yeah, from the ends, no lie, from lying and flying. He was chilling with the man them one time, yeah. Very naive kind of guy. Yeah. Thought these people were his friends. Do you know what they did to him one time? They told him, yeah, bro, come sleep over. And he slept over. While he was sleeping, they took his key. When they took his key, they went to the blacksmiths and they cut his key. Gave him back his key, the original key. They said, yeah, bro, we got to do something. Da, 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 da. See, when he wasn't home, they used his key to go into his house and burgled him. That is the era I come from. Snaky, cutthroat, and dirty. However, when you're used to chaotic environments or snaky environments, growing up, I even had a lot of snaky friends and backstabbing friends. That makes sense. I thought that behavior was normal. Do you understand? Because that's all I was surrounded by. When I went to mix with other people, I didn't really know how to gel with them. And when I say gel with them, I don't know how to build bonds with them because this is not familiar to my brain chemistry. Even when it comes to my own personal relationships, I went out with chaotic people. I loved chaotic women. I always say to people to this day, yeah, I need chaos in my life. I'm a daredevil, adrenaline junkie. I'm one of those people, yeah. If I go skydiving, I want the parachute to fail and then they catch me at the last minute before I hit the ground. Daredevil. I love adrenaline. Do you understand? So I love toxic and chaotic women. If you look at my dating history, do you understand? They weren't bad women. They weren't evil, but there was some chaos. There was some chaos there. Do you understand? I like women that can defend their thing. They're not taking no talk. However, is that good for you in the grand scheme of things? Is chaos good for you in the grand scheme of things? And I realized, even when I tell some of like, I would say my friends that have just lived complete normal lives all their life, when I tell them certain things when it comes to like relationships and friendships, they look at me like I'm mad. They're like, what? That sounds crazy. But it is crazy. And I didn't realize for a long time I was chasing what was in my brain chemistry, what is normal to me. Yeah. I find with a lot of people, they mistaken love for trauma bonding. That is a trauma bond. If you've got a friend you've grown up with, you might have been on the roads with this person, you two have been through certain things together. You don't even really like and respect each other. It's just sentiment. You might have grown up with this person. That's a trauma bond. There's no real love there. Love is done by actions. Love is done by consideration. People always think love is how much you give. Sometimes love is how much you can take. Do you understand? Nobody's perfect. Do you understand? You could be cutting yourself to love a person. It's unhealthy, but it's a form of love. Sometimes we mistake on trauma bonding for love. Do you understand? So don't bond with trauma. If you are going to love, if you are doing things for love, make sure it's healthy, make sure it's safe. Nothing's going to be perfect. You and your woman are going to cuss each other out. That's how it goes. I mean, you're not always going to be ring a rosy. However, just make sure it's none of the emotional abuse and psychological abuse or none of that hard stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I would say that's the difference between love and trauma bonding. Search for love is healthy. Don't search for trauma. Cool. What we got? Guys who involve their girlfriend in the lifestyle. Oh my God. You're taking me down memory lane right here. Cool. There are some men, yeah, that whatever they're doing in life, it could be bad. Okay. They involve their girl in it. They're going to ask their girl to hold certain stuff, do certain stuff, drop me here, take this and bring it to this person for me. That's very selfish, bro. And you see some women, like I say, that have Bonnie and Clyde syndrome, yeah. They're gassed. They're like, oh my God, like I'm a ride or die, or whatever. That's actually very insulting to you. Because his job should be to protect you and to keep you away from certain stuff. If he's involving you in certain things, that means he doesn't care for your well-being. This bad man thing is not a joke, you know. I know social media and all of these things has made it seem like it's a joke and it's funny and this person's scoring points. Or let me tell you something. It's real out here. So if you're a woman, you have no business, yeah, being involved in certain things. And that's not on some misogynistic stuff, because I've met some women that are a lot tougher than a man, them, believe you me. However, if you claim to love someone or to care for someone, you have to consider them. You have to consider their safety. You have to consider their well-being. You have to protect them. You putting someone in harm's way to either get arrested or to get hurt, that's not love and consideration. So if you're with a man who's trying to turn you into a Tasha St. Patrick or some ride or die that he saw in the film, remember Bonnie and Clyde, they die in the end. You just remember that. Sprayed up when they stepped out the whip. Remember that. Food for thought. Sid and Nancy died in the end. A lot of these ride or die couples, they don't survive. Do you understand? So yeah, man, be sensible. Okay. Okay. This is another one. He wanted me to talk about friendship on the roads, yeah, and guys being your guy or whatever, whatever. I'm here to tell you, bro, in life, there are no friends on the road. That goes back to what I said about trauma bonding. Yeah. You might think someone's your friend, but like more time, it's a trauma bond. I'll give you an example. So I had a friend that I grew up with, yeah? And looking back, it kind of makes sense with his behavior. Like his house was like a bando. He was just rough, like he was going through it. Do you understand? Like life was Muay Thai kicking his soul. Do you understand? And I remember one time, me and him kind of fell out. It's over something stupid. But you know when you're around someone, yeah, and they're constantly giving you like little digs, they're constantly making little nasty little comments, and you call them out about it. So me and him fell out. We had like a little tussle, whatever. I had to put belt to behind. I remember, obviously, because I was more physical than him at the time, we would have been about 13 or 14. He started to spread lies about me. And when he spread lies about me, he went to a couple elders and said something like, I'm chilling with these people or that people, just bare lies after lies. Do you understand? And obviously, they come to me, we had a conversation, it got squashed, yeah? But then they said to me what he said. And then they said to me, he said, oh, this guy is a good talker. So if you are going to stab him up, make sure it's from behind. 'Cause if you do it from the front, he'll talk his way out of it. I said, wow, that's what he said about me. You're meant to be my friend. So no, there is no friends on the road. You're just a bunch of kids that grew up together and you mix with each other. There's a difference between friends and family. You're going to have some guys you grew up with that over time, it comes like that you're like your brother. That's your family. That's not your friend. That's different. If you're talking about friends and acquaintances, that does not exist. So if a man is not your family, he ain't your friend. Okay? Food for thought. That's just some lessons. Okay, we're nearing to the end, yeah? Ooh. Women weaponize the ops. This happens. This definitely happens. I always say, yeah, and like I said, in a chaotic environment, some women are like, you know, the people back in the days during Roman times, gladiator times, they like to see the man fight the lion and get torn apart. A lot of women lack excitement. They like to see men fight. They like to see men get hurt. You'll get some women that'll go talk to these guys over here and go talk to those guys over there. And they're telling stories. They're spreading gossip. They're spreading lies. And they're fanning the flames for beef. You have to be very careful with those women. So if you're a guy from the hood and a woman comes asking you about a next man, just shut it down. Say, I don't know nothing about that. I know of him. I don't know him. I don't want to talk about a next man. Shut it down. Why are you talking to a next man? Why are you bringing up a next man to me for? Shut it down. Do you understand? Because if you go running your big mouth saying, well, I heard this, I heard that, she's going to run to them people over there and she will tell them the story on steroids. What you said's going to get magnified by like 20 and now it's on. That makes sense? Women like to weaponize the ops. Women like to weaponize gang beef. They like to spark the flame. They like excitement. They're not the one that's going to get hurt. They just have to sit back and watch the city burn. Do you understand? When I say women, I mean those kind of women, not women in general. There's a lot of lovely, sweet, smart women. God willing, you find those kind of women in your life. I'm talking about that demographic. Yeah. I mean, difference between girls from the ends and hood chicks. You don't want hood chicks. You want girl from the ends. Cool. Why some ends are broke? Simple. Office work culture. Do you understand? There are some ends they prioritize badness. They want to be tough so bad. All they care about is hurting people. Do you understand? That's why you'll see certain men who look like they're wearing Slazenger tracksuits. They're broke because the office work culture is not productive. You'll see some ends and they're just about this money from the oldest to the youngest. It trickles down. You see, when you've got someone at the top who's productive, whether it's good or whether it's bad, it will trickle down. That work culture will trickle down. Do you understand? So you'll get some ends that, bro, their work culture is just badness, and badness doesn't pay. Badness costs money. Badness brings police around. Badness is just non-productive. It's just not good for business. Any sensible person will tell you that. You understand? If you're constantly warring and fighting people, you don't want to be surrounded by those people anyways, man. You understand? that hate in your heart where you just want to fight people and war people all the time. That's not good. Pardon. So yeah, man, that's why most ends are broke. Office work culture. That's why sometimes you're looking at borough and those guys are up and those guys are not up. And those guys are not up. They have sense, they don't have sense. Simple. Office work culture. Okay. This is my last one, yeah. Last one before I close the show. It has been an eventful show, man. So once again, like I always say, thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for supporting me all this time and being with me all this time. Like I said, if I haven't thanked you enough, I'll thank you again. Last one, hypergamy is natural. Now I know with the rise of red pill and those kind of weirdo videos, yeah, we hear this term hypergamy. Women always want the best man. Women always want this person. Women always want the guy with money. But it's natural. They're wired that way. It's been like that since the caveman era. They will look for whoever can give them the best deal. It's natural. You see the problem with a lot of men that hate hypergamy, yeah? For those of you that don't know what hypergamy means, it means marrying up. So dating someone who's above you, yeah? The problem with a lot of men like that is a lot of men like to stay average and soft. And when I say soft, I don't mean in terms of aggression or physicality. I mean soft in terms of they've got no direction in life. They just want to sit on their bum and scratch their bum and fart and watch Netflix all day. Do you understand? Bun a zoo and gossip on the phone to their virgin. Bro, if you're with a hypergamous woman, that's a good thing. Because that means you'll always be striving to be the best version of yourself, or she'll leave you. What better motivation than there is? Like, what better motivation is there? If I am not constantly the best version of myself, this woman is going to leave me. Simple. Cut your hair. Go to the gym. If you're not someone that goes to the gym, be in basic shape. Have money in your pocket. And also constantly be evolving. I mean, constantly be evolving. Yeah. You are a living creature. You're a living organism. How you start is not how you're supposed to stay. Flowers grow, trees grow. Anything that's alive is growing. The caterpillar will be the butterfly. That makes sense. So if she met you at this level, in the next 6 months to a year, you need to be better. Better does not always mean money. It could be mindset. You need to think differently than how you did 6 months ago. You need to look better. You need to eat better. You need to move better. She needs to see that there's progress. You're not stagnating. Like I said, women are security and stability addicts. You see how people are addicted to crack? Women are addicted to stability, being patterned. So if you've come into her life and she's observed you and you're slipping, you might be addicted to vices. Addiction is a very strong word. I shouldn't say that. You might be undisciplined or non-disciplined when it comes to your vices. You might drink a lot. You might eat a lot. You might smoke a lot. When she looks at that, she's going to say, okay, this guy has no control over himself. If he has no control over himself, how is he going to have control over our household? How is he going to lead me? How is he going to lead us? If I have a child for this man, how is he going to manage? He's going to be sloppy. I have to be his mom. She doesn't want to be your mom. She doesn't want to think. That makes sense. So it is your job to constantly be the best version of yourself. And that's exciting, bro. To always want to be better. Come on, bro. Don't hate hypergamy. It's natural. Love it. Master it. Conquer it. Say, cool, she met me like this in February. Watch who I'm going to be in August. And like I said, it's not always money. You don't need to stop thinking that money is what makes you better. It doesn't. There's money men out there who are just slobs. They look stinky. You understand? Better could be mindset. You think differently. Your finances or your financial literacy could be better. You understand? Your health and your fitness is better. When she met you, you used to smoke. You don't smoke anymore. That's better. You understand? When she met you, used to eat 4 times for the day. You only eat 1 or 2 meals for the day. That's better. Just be better. And not for her, be better for yourself. Because wherever you're going in life, she will want to follow because you're a man with a plan. You know where you're going. You understand? If you are a lost little boy who is lost in his little bubble and his little world, she's going to cut and skip town because you're not a sure bet anymore. You understand? To a lot of women, we're stocks. They invest in us. They buy shares. When the stock is looking a bit unreliable, they sell their shares. So as a stock, just keep rising. You'll be fine. And those are just the topics that I've been given today. Obviously, naturally, I'll invite a guest if that's what you guys want. If I do another solo one, keep the requests and everything pouring in. Do you understand? Keep the dilemmas pouring in. I'm happy to yap and yap and yap and answer all your questions, all your dilemmas. I'm actually here to help. Okay, that's what I'm here for. And nothing makes me feel better when I get a DM and somebody says, "You helped me so much, you improved my life." Do you understand? So yeah, keep it coming. And like anything in life, yeah, just look after yourself. Just look after yourself. Do you understand? Rest in peace to Diego Jota or Jota. And yeah, man, stuff like that lets you know life is short. So just look after yourself. Always take care, look after your family, look after yourself, and get home safely each and every time, man. Do you understand? That's the most important thing. Make it home to your bed. Okay? Like, comment, and subscribe. And like I always say, make civilian life great again. Great life. Okay?